This video covers the most frequently asked junior accountant interview questions and answers for both freshers and experienced candidates. In this video, we will explore key job-related topics such as GST and GST return, tax return and tax preparations, payroll processing, compliance, invoicing, ROC and IROC, and more. Before we start the video, make sure to check out our previous video on real-time junior accountant interview questions and answers part 1. It covers some of the most asked topics, including accounting and financial accounting, reconciliation, accounts payable and receivable, tally, bookkeeping, general ledger and balance sheet. Let's get started. Next topic is GST and GST return. What is GST? GST is a comprehensive, multi-stage, destination-based tax that has replaced multiple indirect taxes in India. It is levied on the supply of goods and services. Importance of GST. One nation, one tax, simplified tax structure. Reduced cascading effect, eliminated multiple taxation. Increased tax base, improved tax compliance. Boost to economy, facilitated ease of doing business. Components of GST. CGST, collected by the central government on intrastate supplies. SGST, collected by state governments on intrastate supplies. IGST, collected by the central government on interstate supplies or imports. UTGST, collected by union territory governments on intra-UT supplies. How is GST calculated and filed? Calculation: GST is calculated on the value of goods or services supplied. The rate varies based on the product or service. GST is filed online through the GST portal. Monthly or quarterly returns are filed depending on the turnover. Steps include preparing invoices, uploading them to the GST portal, and filing GSTR 1, GSTR 3B, and GSTR 9. How do you calculate GST liability? Determine the GST rate applicable to your goods or services. GST liability equals taxable value. How do you prepare and file GST returns? Sample answer: I prepare GST returns by reviewing sales and purchase records, calculating GST liability, and reconciling GST accounts. I ensure all transactions are correctly classified and submit the returns within specified deadlines. What are the different types of GST returns? GSTR 1, monthly or quarterly return for outward supplies made by the taxpayer. GSTR 3B, monthly summary return of inward and outward supplies, along with tax payment. GSTR 4, quarterly return for composition scheme taxpayers. GSTR 9, annual return filed by regular taxpayers. GSTR 9C, reconciliation statement and audit report for taxpayers above a certain turnover. What are the common GST compliance challenges? Common GST compliance challenges. Complexity, understanding and applying GST rates correctly. IT infrastructure, issues with the GSTN portal and technology readiness. Classification, correctly classifying goods and services under the correct GST rate. Input tax credit, proper documentation and reconciliation of ITC. Timely filing, meeting deadlines for GST filing and payment. Transition issues, challenges during the transition from the old tax regime to GST. What challenges have you faced with GST compliance, and how did you overcome them? Sample answer: I faced challenges with frequent regulatory changes. To overcome this, I stayed updated through training sessions, industry publications, and regular consultations with tax advisors. This ensured accurate and compliant GST filings. How do you handle discrepancies in GST returns? Sample answer: I investigate discrepancies by reviewing transaction records, matching invoices with entries, and ensuring correct GST classifications. I make necessary adjustments and communicate with suppliers or customers if needed to resolve issues. Next topic is tax return and tax preparations. Explain the concept of TDS and TCS. TDS, tax deducted by the payer at the time of making a payment to the payee. Examples include TDS on salary, interest, rent, etc. TCS, tax collected by the seller from the buyer at the time of sale of specified goods or services. Examples include TCS on sale of property, luxury goods, etc. How do you prepare for tax season? Sample answer: I prepare for tax season by organizing all necessary financial records throughout the year, staying updated on tax laws and regulations, and ensuring all transactions are accurately recorded. I also review past tax returns to identify any changes or improvements needed. What is the difference between direct and indirect taxes? Direct taxes. Levied directly on an individual's or organization's income or wealth. The burden of the tax cannot be shifted to another party. Examples: income tax, corporate tax, wealth tax. Indirect taxes. Levied on goods and services rather than on income or wealth. The burden of the tax can be shifted to another party, usually passed on to the end consumer. Examples: GST, VAT, excise duty. What are the common tax deductions for salaried employees? Common tax deductions for salaried employees. Section 80C, investments in PPF, EPF, ELSS, NSC, etc. Section 80D, medical insurance premiums. Section 24, home loan interest. Section 80E, education loan interest. Section 80EE, interest on home loan for first-time home buyers. Section 80TTA 80TTB, interest on savings bank and fixed deposits. House rent allowance, deduction for rent paid, subject to conditions. How do you handle GST returns, PT, ESI, PF, and calculating employee TDS? Sample answer: I ensure compliance by accurately calculating and recording these transactions, maintaining detailed records, and filing returns on time. I stay updated on regulations to ensure accuracy and compliance. GST returns, complex process involving input credit, output tax, returns filing on GST portal. PT, professional tax calculation based on salary, deducted from employee pay, deposited to state government. ESI and PF, employer and employee contributions calculated on salary, deposited to respective government bodies. TDS, calculated on employee income exceeding tax exemption limit, deducted from salary, deposited to government. Note: requires understanding of tax laws, record keeping, and use of accounting software. Describe your experience with tax preparation and filing. Sample answer: I have experience preparing and filing GST returns, calculating and remitting employee TDS, and ensuring compliance with PT, ESI, and PF regulations. Next topic is payroll processing. How do you handle payroll processing and ensure accuracy? Sample answer: I handle payroll processing by accurately entering employee data, calculating wages, and ensuring all deductions are applied correctly. I verify timesheets and payroll reports, and stay updated on labor laws and regulations to ensure compliance. What software have you used for payroll processing? Sample answer: I have used various payroll software, including Zoho Books and Tally, to process payroll. These tools help streamline the process, ensure accuracy, and maintain detailed records for compliance and reporting purposes. Explain the process of calculating employee salaries and deductions. Process of calculating employee salaries and deductions. Determine gross salary based on agreed terms. Subtract statutory deductions like provident fund, employee state insurance, and income tax from gross salary to arrive at net salary. Explain the components of salary structure. Basic salary, fixed component of salary, typically the largest part. Allowances, additional payments like house rent allowance, conveyance allowance, etc. Bonuses and incentives, variable payments based on performance or company policies. How do you calculate deductions like PF, ESI, TDS? Provident fund, deducted at a fixed percentage of basic salary, both employer and employee contribute. Employee state insurance, deducted at a fixed percentage of gross salary if applicable. Income tax, deducted based on applicable tax slab rates after considering exemptions and deductions. What are the statutory requirements for payroll? Payment of Wages Act ensures timely and accurate payment of wages. Provident Fund Act mandates PF contributions for eligible employees. Employee State Insurance Act requires ESI contributions for employees in certain categories. Income Tax Act specifies TDS deductions and reporting requirements. Next topic is compliance. What are the common accounting and tax compliance requirements? Accurate record keeping, maintain detailed and accurate financial records of all transactions. Financial statements, prepare and present financial statements as per accounting standards. Tax returns, file timely tax returns for income tax, VAT GST, and other applicable taxes. Audit compliance, ensure financial statements are subject to regular audits as required by regulations. Documentation, keep supporting documentation for transactions, deductions, and credits. Regulatory reporting, comply with specific industry regulations and reporting requirements. How do you ensure compliance with accounting standards and regulations? Sample answer: I stay updated on relevant accounting standards and regulations by attending training sessions and reviewing industry updates. I apply this knowledge to my work, ensuring all financial transactions and records comply with the required standards. What are the key components of GST compliance? Sample answer: the key components of GST compliance include accurate record keeping, timely filing of returns, proper calculation of GST liability, and ensuring all transactions are correctly classified. Regular reconciliation of GST accounts is also essential. Next topic is invoicing. How do you manage the invoicing process? Sample answer: I manage the invoicing process by generating accurate invoices, tracking their status, and following up on overdue payments. I use accounting software to automate and streamline the process, ensuring timely and accurate billing. What information is typically included in an invoice? Information typically included in an invoice. 1. Invoice number, unique identifier for the invoice. 2. Date of invoice issuance. 3. Seller's details, name, address, and contact information. 4. Buyer's details, name, address, and contact information. 5. Description of goods services, detailed description of the items or services provided. 6. Quantity and unit price, quantity of goods or services and their unit price. 7. Total amount due, including applicable taxes and discounts. 8. Payment terms, payment due date and terms. 9. Tax information, details of any applicable taxes. Explain the process of creating and sending invoices. Create invoice, use an invoice template or accounting software to input all required details. Review, check for accuracy and completeness. Send invoice, deliver the invoice to the buyer via email, postal mail, or through an invoicing platform. Track payment, monitor payment status and follow up as needed. What steps do you take if a customer disputes an invoice? Sample answer: if a customer disputes an invoice, I review the invoice and supporting documents, communicate with the customer to understand the issue, and resolve any errors. If the dispute is valid, I issue a corrected invoice or credit note. Next topic is ROS and IROC. What is ROC? ROC is a government official or office responsible for overseeing the registration and regulation of companies and limited liability partnerships in India. What is the role of ROC in business registration? ROC handles the incorporation of companies, maintains a registry of companies, and ensures compliance with the Companies Act. It processes company registrations, changes in company details, and filings of annual returns. How does ROC interact with accounting and finance departments? ROC requires companies to file financial statements, annual returns, and other compliance documents. The accounting and finance departments prepare these documents to meet ROC requirements and ensure legal compliance. What is IROC? IROC is not a recognized institution in India. You may be referring to ICAI, which is the national professional accounting body in India. What are the benefits of becoming an IROC member? Professional recognition, gain credibility and recognition as a qualified accountant. Career opportunities, access to a wide range of career and networking opportunities. Continual learning, opportunities for professional development and continuing education. Support and resources, access to professional resources, guidance, and support from the Institute. How do you handle the accounting for IROC? Sample answer: I handle the accounting for IROC by accurately recording the initial capital in the company's books, ensuring compliance with legal requirements. I maintain detailed records and provide accurate reporting to stakeholders. Our next video, Part 3, covers the most frequently asked junior accountant interview questions and answers for both freshers and experienced candidates. In this segment, we will focus on key topics such as financial statements, journal entries, accounting staff, budget preparation, Zoho, CMA, financial and data analysis, tax audits, filing, MS Office, SAP and QuickBooks, ESI and EPF. Stay tuned for our next video.